All right, everybody, welcome back here to SLTV. We've got a match between Conquest and EnemyGG, and the very first map is going to be Mirage. I am going to be your host, Bach. With me is Dust Moret, a caster I have yet to work with. I've been casting for like a year, and somehow our paths have just now crossed.
You know, gotta save it, man. Save it for the right moment. You know, I'll be sure to take good care of you tonight, Bach, as we're about to go live here in round one on Mirage, as this was Conquest's selection. I'm surprised Enemy let it through the banning phase. They've actually never won a map on Mirage before, ever. In all their official matches, they've all been losses, including 2 losses to Conquest, which were pretty one-sided victories for Conquest. But Conquest is, of course, using a stand-in tonight for NAF. They're using Haze, so I don't know how much that'll play into things, but we are going to see Enemy setting up here for an A execute with a few flashes. No smokes, though, so that's going to be tough.
They do have a smoke over towards the stairs, so that's going to give them a little bit of room to move into the site. Conquest just shutting this down, though, as Haze, Shazam, and Daps all combined for headshots. Mainline in the site alongside Kusta. It's a 2v4. Mainline's got himself a USP. Kusta with a P250. They do have the bomb and time to plant. Kusta's going to toss a flash and be able to get that down, so they're going to get that bonus money, that extra 800. But going to be pretty hard to hold this off, especially with Mainline going down. Kusta, the last man standing. He eventually drops, and the CT side's going to pick up the round here with Shazam going on the defuse. So a pretty decisive victory from Conquest in the pistol round.
Yeah, I mean, pistol rounds on Mirage are really hard on the A side of the map because typically speaking, you're not going to have enough smokes to cover everything. So, like, right there, they did have smoke stairs and jungle, but no smoke CT spawn, so that just frees up Daps to, like, get in a kill and get in some free damage where he's not really blocked off. And I think there was actually kind of a gap in the smoke there that Conquest was able to use to also get a frag or 2 through it. So that just kind of killed everything. And Enemy with the bomb plant, not going to elect to save for the 3rd round AK buy. They're going straight for Tech 9s and head armor, and they have a bunch of flashes and smoke. They're looking to do a heavy B execute, but Stanislaw, he pushes through and spots this.
I'm actually surprised he didn't really do much of anything, but they end up making their way through. They're going to pick up a P90. Rush is going to get the first one. Shazam already coming in on the flank. They're trying to get into this site. Kusta with the Tech 9 looking for some headshots. He's going to pull out that P90, but he's all by himself now. So this round seemed like it could have been so much better, and a little bit bonus cash going into Hayes' pocket due to the stabby stab into Kusta. And Conquest pick up a second round that started out pretty rough, but then they ended up bringing it back because of the fact that, you know, Enemy kind of hesitated a little bit getting into that site, and not getting the bomb plant really hurts them too, because now, you look at their money, they're not exactly doing so hot.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, that's just because Stanislaw read that immediately, right? You know, pushing through, even though he did get killed, he still got the information, hey, they're doing a heavy upper B hit. It allowed everyone on Conquest to rotate while Rush from the catwalk really did a great job getting kills and staying alive and allowing people like Shazam and stuff to get in position to retake that site and even prevent the plant. So now Enemy is trying to rush out A. There is no one really here just yet. Smoke's blocking off the way, but they're not really good smokes. Daps is still able to peek through all this. They're able to get a kill. Hayes chiming in as well with 2, and I don't know if they'll even get the plant now.
And Daps is still looking for someone in the site. Couldn't get off of his vision for some reason. Hitting the numbers on the camera just weren't doing anything for me, but he ends up getting the final kill of the round, the one that mattered most, which was the bomb, so they don't get that bonus $800, which means Kusa is going to be a little bit light with that op. He's going to be going for the glass cannon. This is kind of that dynamic piece of the puzzle here, is the op-Shazam duel. I'm kind of curious to see where this is going to go, because Shazam's been in the scene for a while. Everyone knows Shazam and his tricks. Kusa is a young gun with a lot of talent, and I mean, this is his first season playing at this level, and he's been having a really good one considering that. And I'm actually very impressed with Kusta, and I think he even has more room to improve. So
absolutely.
I want to see how the Shazam Kusta duel is going to play out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kusa really proved himself, I think, at that RGN LAN event and all of his online play as well at Enemy. He's looked to be kind of the star of this team, and he is going to be able to take a crack at it right away with this op as he's kind of chilling over here at upper B. Bomb at mid. They do have a little bit of mid control here. Uber and Mainline have been able to get up to the chair. Shazam has not really been able to get a peek off just yet, though he will be peeking late towards window, but going to get deterred by a little bit of gunfire here. Trying to keep re-peeking, but eventually it'll lead to his death. Mainline grabbing a nice kill, so mid control collected by Enemy, plus they have a 5-on-4 now, so they have a lot of options open to them at this point, but it seems like they want to bring that bomb over towards upper B, just use relics to lurk at A, keep people in place, and try to hit the bomb site.
The Relics almost gets the kill on the man in under the balcony. That was Daps. So Daps gets a big one because he shuts down the fake pretty much immediately, but it still cemented 2 CT players in their tracks. And now it's on Rush and his cohort in the site. That is going to be Stanislaw. And Stanislaw with just a P90, not able to do enough. So they are going to secure that bomb site. Hayes coming in on the long flank. And Kusta's going to have to turn his head real quick. And in fact, he does snap around. Switching back to the player in market. He's about to get flanked in just a second here. But Hayes, just a little too slow. Doesn't catch Kusta before he drops off the balcony. So that's going to put things back into the hands of enemy. Kusta watching, waiting, finally goes down to Hayes. Hayes now coming in. He's going to have to take down mainline, and he does. A big play for Hayes, dropping both players in the site in the 2v2. It's now 4 rounds straight for Conquest on their CT side.
Absolutely, just really well done the flank from Hayes, but you got to give props to mainline. He had a great run there. I mean, getting that pick on Shazam at middle was huge. It got him the 5-on-4. It got him, you know, starting to push into the B bomb side. He even had a couple of kills in the B bomb side as well to end off with 4. So he definitely put in the effort, but just right there at the end, that flank from Hayes was able to, you know, capitalize on that and get Conquest the 4th round here. So they're up 4-0. Enemy forced onto a 4-spy here, as they are just going to be on Tech 9s and smokes. They have plenty of smokes. They could be doing like a 5 smoke execute on A, or maybe just the standard 3 smokes you see with Kusta kind of trying to slip out of the balcony. But they're definitely going to go heavy A. But Hayes has already begun to rotate and show us Shazam, so they're already kind of in position for this.
The only player that's going to be coming out of Palace was Kusta, but as soon as the smoke lands, he's like, crap, what am I supposed to do? The rest of the team doesn't care. They're just going to run through the smoke on ramp. Molly rains out just to keep a player from being underneath the balcony. They're trying to get in the site as Daps is sitting back towards CT, but takes a lot of damage and doesn't get a kill. He's actually going to go down close range, and a lot of the CTs dropping in the site. This eco round, the 4-spy working out wonderfully. Shazam misses the smoke shot by a narrow margin. Still holding the AWP over towards stairs, coming in from CT. That is going to be his teammate, and now it's just his teammate, Stanislaw, a 1v3 all by himself, and spotted out by Relics, who has a huge 2K at the end of the round. 3 for mainline. They split the full house together, and they finally pick up that 1st round. And look at the money on the CT side. Like, this is already an eco for them because Enemy has done so well in the previous rounds despite not actually winning.
Yeah, the last round only 1 player survived, so 4 people had the rebuy, and so you can definitely see the repercussions of that. Big round again from mainline. He had a quad kill last round, didn't result in the victory, but it was a nice run. This round comes up big, just, you know, Conquest stuck behind those smokes, and Enemy able to pick up on them as they tried to come through. But now Conquest with just the pistols here, they do already have 1 kill from Daps, as he did pick up one over towards A. Now Shazam finding one, and man, oh no, this could be really bad for Enemy to have their money reset like this.
An eco trade potential here, but the CT side putting a lot less into this one than the T side had prior. They spent about 4 rounds worth of loss bonus up to get Tech 9 armor and full nades, so if the CT side can do it with just pure pistols, that would be a little bit disappointing. Hayes is the only one who's got armor. The rest of the squad, just vanilla pistols. They found themselves the AK. That's Daps. He's over all the way up in Palace now, so he's actually in a really good position as it seems like the T side wants to rotate over. Uber with a great headshot onto Stanislaw on Cat. Gonna find another on Shazam and Window, and that actually evens things up, tips it back a little bit here. Still in Palace, though, Daps. I mean, he's in a great position. If they don't check this, he could shut this round down by himself.
Exactly. Like, he has his eyes on Palace to know they're not there to hit, but as soon as they come up A ramp and Hayes, even if Hayes gets killed, that's such a jump on these 2 guys. Uber will get there soon, so maybe they can make some type of trade here as Hayes, hiding out with the Deagle, gets the 1 dig onto Anomaly. That's going to make it even better. And, yeah, that's still in position to destroy if it's needed.
And they still haven't spotted him now. I mean, even just in the situation that he's in, Rush is a serious threat. Ooh, and a great shot from Rush, dropping Uber down to 23 points of health. He's got no time to stick the bomb. Daps played that so carefully, almost too carefully. He spent so much time in Palace, but at the same point in time, there was value behind that. He had the AK, his teammates got a deagle. It doesn't make sense for him to risk the AK for the deagle. However, it does make sense for him to drop the AK to Hayes, because Hayes had body armor, but that's just an in-the-moment decision that 2 players had to come to, and it's a big risk, too, because he could end up throwing that thing, putting it right in the middle of an open view of a T, and then you lose the gun anyway.
Yeah, Hayes was way too far away to make that type of play. That's played that perfect, just holding the Palace position for the information and being able to kind of bait his teammates, if need be, at the end round to make sure that they closed it out. So now we are into another situation. Enemy's in a 4-spot. They do have the Tech 9. Shazam will catch Relics quite easily. The rest of the team trying to come up A, but they're stuck behind fire. They're eating a good amount of damage here, especially Anomaly, already down about halfway. But they do get an entry into the site. They had the smokes up, but what a spam from Rush.
So they're going to be able to get into the site, but Shazam rushes in and shuts down the bomb plant. The T side not able to get it down. They still had plenty of time left, but it's come down to just 1 player, and it's mainline all by himself here in a 1v2, and he's got an AWP. It's not necessarily his weapon of choice. He's got plenty of time, though. I mean, 45 seconds left. He could easily rotate this bomb all the way back towards B. And I think he's kind of playing that mind game right now, letting them think, you know, he could have rotated. He has time. He's trying to split them up a bit. But I don't think he realizes that Rush is in connector right now in such a good position. You see, it's basically a freebie kill for Rush. And now the money on the T side is starting to look a little bit awkward. With 3 players able to buy and 2 unable, I imagine this is just going to be a split buy. They're already down 6-1. They really can't afford to give any more rounds up. I would probably urge them to go with a split buy, but I think they're just they're just ecoing. So,
I mean, they really have to if they want to get like the op and everything on Kusta and actually have like good utility. And it's just like kind of hard to watch. I know enemies had some good like smokes on the A bomb site, but you know, only out of all those rounds they've hit A, only one has like Conquest been unsuccessful on like playing behind those smokes, just waiting it out and being able to outduel enemy later on in the round. And now it's just like it's an eco round trying to push mid and underpass where A's is just single-handedly destroying them. Now Rush is gonna get into the mix as well, pushing the catwalk. He's got the bomb down at connector, and this round never really had too much into it anyhow, but now it is over. 7-1 in favor of Conquest. But Enemy, they will finally get like a full comfortable buy. I think this is the best buy they've had all half coming in now. They did have one, I guess, a few rounds ago, but it was Kusta glass cannoning. Now he'll actually have head armor, and they'll have full utility and everyone else as well. So this is like probably their last shot to really like get a foothold in this half. Like, you know, after this, sure, they're on, you know, approaching max loss one, but they're probably gonna have to save next round if they lose this one. So this is their chance to get back in the game.
All right, the duel is finally gonna happen, and Shazam loses it down to 17 points of health. A great leg shot from Kusta. 6 cents about him with that AWP, and they do get a bit of a opening in mid here as Shazam has to backpedal and head towards CT. Rush also moving off of catwalk, so a lot of mid control given to the T side now. Uber's going to flash his way into connector. He's got Daps right around the corner. Daps is going to spray through, and Uber gets lit up, but so does Daps. The molly almost taking Uber out. 9 HP left on Uber. And Relix is going to go down to Hazed. Hazed having a great game here as the fill-in stud. Shazam takes out Uber in connector. Anomaly over towards Palace. He's looking for an opening there. And the problem that I've seen thus far from Enemy is that when they've moved quick, it seems like rounds come together, but when they take their time and play the slow play, they walk right into traps that are just perfectly timed from Conquest, and it's not working out.
I mean, they got pretty quick mid control, and it's right to just try to look for an opportunity, but like when Hayes catches your lurker at A, Daps is getting damage off on the Uber and mid, he eventually gets taken down by Shazam. Like, you're just losing your numbers. Like, once you gain mid control, you have to do something with it, and they're just getting bogged down by people from Conquest making individual plays, especially Hayes, who had 2 really big kills this round that pretty much ended it. But it's a 2 versus 3, but there's only 10 seconds left. The bomb coming into B, but Rush is still here, so that's not going to work. As he's going to also have Daps to deal with in the kitchen. That pretty much kills the round there, right? They just kind of got picked off one by one across the map. Once they got that mid control and they had that 1-3-1 going for them, they just got kind of whittled down. They could never really actually get back together. Because obviously that's the end goal, right? Is to eventually gather back up and hit something, but they're losing too many numbers before they can ever try to make that happen.
Yeah, the duels just seem to continue to go the way of Conquest. I mean, the only person who's really having like standout duel performance, I'd say, is Mainline. When Kusta's got the op, I mean, he's really hitting. But if you look at the scoreboard right now, which we have pulled up on stream, Anomaly has yet to find a kill. Relics has 2. I mean, that you know, kills aren't everything.
That's their 2. But that's their 2 peripheral players too, as well.
Yeah, like that kind of thing is important. Stanislaus going to pick up 2 as they try to make their way into the B site. Uber finally takes him out. They're trying to get the bomb down. You can see this third-person view showing us Shazam in the site, spraying away with the 5-7, takes down Mainline. Shazam trying to rotate back into position, take down the other bomb planter, but it's actually Daps to do the job. And now it's all on Uber. Uber in the site is spamming away. And he finally drops to Shazam. I don't know if it's just me, but was Uber a little laggy there for you? Did you get into his first-person point of view by any chance?
I did not pick that up. But I will tell you 2 big things that's happening right now. One, like enemies getting mid control and stuff, but they're losing duels, and eventually you have to win those duels up cat and connector if you ever want to try to like launch and execute. So that's one thing. And 2, I can't even tell you how many kills Conquest has gotten through a smoke this game. It is like actually pretty ridiculous the amount of spam kills they've been able to get, and like enemies relying on those smokes to allow them to get bomb plants or to hold off the retake a bit longer while they set up post plant, but they're getting burned through them every single time. And now Stanislaw gonna have an auto sniper because they have so much money, able to get an upper retake right away. Again, those peripheral players for Enemy are just getting waxed right now. Yeah,
I mean, there's no opportunity to play the map. They're gonna going to need to play more of a dedicated A or B. They're splitting up and not getting trades wherever they go. I understand what they're trying to do. It's not working. Losing way too many players without a single trade. It happens every single round, and it's happened here as well with Relics all by himself in a 1v5.
Well, to be honest with you, though, man, I mean, even when they've tried to just gather up at A and do like a, a simple Palace A ramp split with the smoke walls, they're getting burned there too. Like Conquest from CT spawn or Stairs jungle are spamming through and killing their bomb planner and like bogging them down basically. So even when they've tried the heavy executes, that hasn't worked either. I feel like they've only started doing this mid control stuff now because A hits weren't really working. So they're trying to explore the map and find new opportunities, but they're getting denied across the board again. Individual efforts from Conquest are just getting the entry frags, every single round, whether it be a push up or B to get a kill, or Hayes pushing a ramp, or Daps pushing Palace, just whatever it is, they're getting the picks on the Conquest side every time, almost every time rather.
Almost every time. So we're gonna follow in the eyes of Anomaly here, see if he can get this kill in mid. It would be the first he's picked up all game, and I'm the first person to talk about how kills are not the only part of this game, and at a top level, aim to aim doesn't really matter as much as game sense and awareness. And you can see mainline, Stanislaw, and Anomaly all trying to make their way into connector, and they get annihilated by Shazam and Stanislaw. That Scar 20, so devastating. Basically an automatic scout, hitting for about 70 a shot. And it's just horrifyingly difficult to get past, especially when their money's broken.
And especially when they're moving him around, right? And enemy has no clue where that is. Like, it was upper B last round. This time, Daps takes Stanislaw position upper B, and Stanislaw takes the CT spawn by the A ramp. And just like watches connector at the ticket booth. So they're very dynamic about how they move these snipers around to keep enemy guessing where they're going to have to deal with that. Because obviously you have to kind of game plan around that auto sniper. Like that's going to hold down a long lane, and you can just keep firing off shots and rip us apart. We need to either isolate him or block him off, but they don't know where he is. Now he'll be back at upper B. And enemy, we're getting towards the end of the half here. They're buying up what they can. It's desperation at this point, and they're looking to do an A hit, but Daps is pressed up close on the A ramp. Ace is inside the site, Shazam not too far away, and since Rush has pushed Cat, he can also rotate A pretty quickly, so this could be another slaughter.
Yeah, this is really tough to watch, and I've seen enemy come back from some really large deficits on this map, but I think it was Method, and then they went from a 14-1 high score, and it all started at the half. I mean, they just kind of became a different team, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen right now as Hayes finds 3 on the A push. Anomaly now by himself. He's got an AK and a Tech 9. He's going to try and cross back into that smoke. But with 50 seconds left, he's got plenty of clock to work with. So there's still options here for Anomaly. I mean, he can still make something happen. He still hasn't found that kill. He's looking for it. He's hoping. And the reason I make note of that is mentally, that is frustrating as anything in this game. The most frustrating thing could be you're consistently losing duels. It's bad enough to have a negative ratio. You feel like you're losing duels more than you're winning them, but to not have won a single duel, and he's not going to win this one either.
Well, that
really hurts like your mentality, especially in a best of 3. Like most people don't understand how important that mental state is carrying through 3 maps.
Yeah, for sure. And also the big thing there was they actually got the entry on Daps press up close A ramp, but then Hayes just gets 3 kills to answer back. You got to trade him out more efficiently if you ever want to have a chance to take that site and win around, and they just can't do it. That's been the story all game long. And again, I'm surprised they even let Mirage through. Again, this team has never won an official match on Mirage that I've been able to find when I was looking at their numbers. Like between they're playing ESCA and some of the lands they've been to, they've always lost Mirage, including to this Conquest team twice in a very one-sided fashion. Looks like it's going to be a 3rd time in a one-sided fashion the way this is playing out. So, maybe it was a bit of a mistake to let Mirage through.
I think part of the problem is that their T side just has always felt really weak for them. Their CT side was always a little bit better, and I think part of that is based on the way they put Kusta in position with the AWP. He's very good and he's very dynamic, but on the T side, it just doesn't seem to work for them so much. A lot
only had it twice this game too, so that's also hurt.
Yeah, I know, and like the pieces just don't really fit as well. I feel like it's not like they're a bad team. They just haven't figured out how they need to play this map, like who needs to play what position and where. The problem is this map has been around long enough. It's not like it's a new map. It's not like it's something they just put into competitive rotation. They should probably know these things by now because they have to play this map. There's no escaping that.
Yeah, especially since, they spent their bans on 2 other maps. I'm trying to remember. I think they banned
They banned Cobble.
Cash. Yeah, they banned D2 and Cobble. So, and D2 is a map I usually see Enemy play okay. Maybe you would have had better chances there on Dust 2, actually. But Mainline now stuck in a 1v2. He does get the kill. App's down very low. He will get a bomb plant right before the clock runs out. Both players very much in the red here. No nades in place. It's going to come down to a duel, and Daps will win it. And that's like probably one of the closest chances to a win Enemy's actually had this entire game, and they lose it there in the 1v1. So that is rather unfortunate.
Poor Michael. Tracing his outline there on the map. Rest in peace. It's 13 rounds now for Conquest. And poor Enemy. I mean, what do you do at this point? Do you start thinking about map 2? I know they've mounted some crazy comebacks, but you have to start having that internal discussion where you're like, we should not have played this map. Mistakes were made. We should have vetoed this. We should have played D2 or something. We felt like we had a better chance at.
Their D2's not much better either. I actually think the ticket would have been to let Cobble through. I know that Conquest can be a very good Cobble team. We've seen them do really well on Cobble, even like at the Season 8 finals for SEVO, where they beat Ignitas and Liquid on it, for example, and that was kind of their big debut. But just Mirage and Dust 2 have been a thorn in Enemy's side, it seems like. They're really good on maps like Inferno, especially. But this seems to be one of the maps they have a big struggle on.
What's funny is they used to be good at D2 back when Ryu was on the team and he was their in-game leader, when they had AZK as their analyst and coach. And they put in some strategies on D2 that I actually hadn't seen before. Smokes I hadn't seen thrown and unique ways of taking Catwalk. But when they made the roster switch, things just never translated over. And ultimately that's the problem. It feels like things just never translated over. Speaking of not translating over, Anomaly ends the half with 1 kill to match his team's score output for rounds. 14-1. I mean, only 3 players survived more than 1 round. At one point in 5 rounds, Enemy had 1 FPR across 5 rounds. As a team, collective team. And, you know, they just are losing the duels. We can't really emphasize that enough. And I kind of agree with you. I don't think they're a bad team. I know these guys. They're great. It's just this is a really bad map for them. And I kind of question what happened with the vetoes that this one was allowed to pass through.
Well, I think like it comes down to this too, is like when you look at the maps they banned, Dust 2, that's another map that they've had a lot of struggle with this lineup. Like I think I've only seen like 1 official win on Dust 2 out of like 10 or 12 matches played on it, and all their online and LAN play recently. So that's not a good number, right? To only win like 1 out of 12. And their Cobble was a bit better. It's about 50-50 on Cobble, but again, we know how strong Conquest has shown themselves to be on Cobble in recent times. So that probably was, you know, a ban that was like a respect ban out of, you know, Conquest's strength, so to speak. They will get to play Inferno in the next map, which is a map I have seen enemies show some pretty good play on. You know, we saw them take Renegades to the wire at RGN. We've seen them do well online in an A on it. Even upset some better teams that you would argue some better teams than them talent-wise. They've upset them on Inferno in the past. They actually have a pretty decent T-side Inferno from what I've seen. It's probably one of their better T-sides, which is ironic since probably Inferno the most T-sided map in the rotation. But yeah, I mean, they'll have another crack at it here in map 2, and I think that they'll put up a better performance there. But I mean, it really has at this point come down to Conquest just out-fragging them across the board, man. Like even when Enemy had positioning, like, you know, mid-control or what have you, they just couldn't win any duels. And at the end of the day, I know it's not all about kills, but you have to get them to execute a site, right? And they just weren't getting them.
I mean, I've talked before about how, you know, in North America, we overemphasize fraggability and players' talent with aim. But it is an important part of the game. You can't get away with not getting any kills. Conquest is just going to go for the speed play into this B site, and they're executing pretty quickly, but not getting the opening kills they need. Anomaly and Mainline both picking up a couple. Down goes Shazam as well. Relic's going to come in on the flank and drop 1, and there is Kusta taking the last kill of the round. Could it start here? I mean, like I said, I saw them come back from a 14-1. They did it once. But Method, not quite on the same level as Conquest. Especially with Hayes filling in. I mean, they have a little bit of a boost. Not that Nafly is a bad player, but obviously Hayes having a pretty big impact considering he's number 2 right now behind Shazam by 1 frag. It's just one of those things where you have so much pressure, and the only thing that they can hope is that Conquest gets a little silly and puts on the cruise control, which sometimes teams do when they get to a lead like this.
Yeah, they just went for an upper B rush and a good crossfire. I mean, they had all 5 people rotated to B before the last 3 even got out of upper B. So, I mean, that's pretty big when you can get that rotation off and get those initial kills. But now, on the force buy, Conquest has got it into a 4-on-3, and they have the bomb planted here. Kusta trying to retake from Catwalk with the FAMAS. He spots a couple there over towards the bench, and some nade damage just chiming in as well. So everyone on Conquest quite low, but it's still Conquest getting the kills. Kusta remains by himself now in a 1 versus 3, getting boxed in from every angle, and he will go out, and that's map point for Conquest. And I mean, they got their money reset. That is just the worst possible time to get your money reset. But they can't buy anything. Some deagles? I mean, Deagle a dream, I guess, man. That's all they got. That hurts.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, it was like the hopes had started to build a little bit. Like, we can do this. It's almost like, how many games have you seen that come down to the 30th round, a massive comeback, 15-14, and then the team loses to someone?
Are you drawing an enemy logo on stream right now? Is that happening?
I did.
Okay.
Multiple times. And then I made it frown because I was sad for them.
Gotta make Reddit somehow, right?
The Conquest boys are going to make their way into this A site. It's basically easy peasy for them as it's down to just Anomaly and Mainline. Anomaly is over towards CT. He's got the Nova. Mainline was in jungle with the Deagle. Smokes are fading, but it's going to be quite difficult here. Anomaly just charging through with that Nova a la Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. But now Mainline all by himself. The Deagle. Can it happen? Can one Deags be aplenty? But it looks like they're going for the knife, and it's not even going to matter. 16-2. I didn't think it would be that bad, but I thought that Enemy would lose that first map. And I kind of wonder when they did the vetoes if they felt the same way, knowing that they have a history of struggling on Mirage.
Yeah, I think they knew that was certainly a possibility. Conquest would get the better of Mirage. It was Conquest pick for 1. For 2, Enemy's never really been that successful on Mirage. And then for 3, even head-to-head, Conquest has gotten the better of Enemy a couple of times in the last month or so. So definitely all signs, statistically anyway, kind of pointed to the fact that Conquest would have the edge here on Mirage. But now we go on to Inferno next, and I think they will fare a little bit better there, if I had to guess. Though I would say Conquest has also shown us some good play on Inferno. I know when they were at the Season 8 finals, still they lost both their Inferno games. They were both really well fought out by them, even, taking Virtus Pro into double overtime. So they certainly also possess the capability to play Inferno quite well. But this is certainly, of the maps we see tonight, this is probably Enemy's best chance to win a map. And it's also important to note that this is the upper bracket of the qualification. So even with Enemy losing tonight, they still have a chance, right? Like they could move down to the lower bracket and maybe make a run there to try to qualify for one of these 2 spots for NA at this event. This is what this is all about, right? We're at the final 8 teams for the qualifier. 2 will advance to LAN. And, this is Conquest trying to move up to the upper bracket final and try to steal that first spot if they can finish out this series. But I guess we'll take a quick break and find that out.
Yeah, we are going to take a quick break, guys. We will be right back with the second map, which is going to be Inferno. So it should be a good one. Reminder, guys, I am Bach. With me tonight is Dust Morat. You are watching SLTV.